The night the millionaire found his maid hiding to eat leftovers was the night everything he believed about success, dignity, and kindness quietly shattered. If this story touches your heart even once, remember to like the video and subscribe, because stories like this are not just meant to be heard, they are meant to be felt and shared. Now listen carefully, because what happened next will stay with you long after the story ends. Arjun Mehra had everything the world said mattered. A glass mansion on the hill, cars that never touched a scratch, meetings where people waited for his words, and a bank balance that made numbers feel meaningless. Yet his nights were always restless. That evening, after returning from another awards dinner where people applauded his success, he felt an odd emptiness. The house was unusually quiet. As he walked toward the kitchen to get some water, he heard a soft sound, barely a whisper, like someone trying very hard not to exist. Behind the kitchen door, crouched near the dustbin, was Mira, the maid who cleaned his floors every morning with her head down and her voice even lower. She froze when she saw him, a half-eaten piece of cold bread in her shaking hand, her eyes wide with fear and shame. For a moment, neither of them moved. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable, and painfully honest. Arjun felt anger rise first, not because of the food, but because he hated being confronted with things he did not want to see. "What are you doing here this late?" he asked, his voice sharper than he intended. Mira's lips trembled. She tried to speak but no sound came out. Slowly, she lowered her head and whispered that she was sorry, that she would leave immediately, that she didn't mean to steal. Her words tumbled over each other, soaked in fear. Something about the word steal hit Arjun harder than expected. He looked at the leftovers she was eating, food that would have gone into the trash by morning, food he never thought twice about wasting. "Is this what you eat?" he asked quietly. Mira nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. She confessed that she hadn't eaten properly in 2 days, that her salary mostly went to rent and medicine for her younger brother, and that sometimes hunger became louder than pride. Arjun turned away, pretending to check his phone, but in truth, he was fighting something unfamiliar tightening his chest. He remembered his own childhood, long buried under success. His father's small shop, the nights his mother pretended she wasn't hungry so he could eat. He had promised himself he would never be weak again. Somewhere along the way, he had mistaken strength for distance. He told Mira to sit at the dining table. She hesitated, terrified she was about to lose her job. When she finally sat, her hands trembled so much she could barely hold the glass of water he gave her. Arjun ordered fresh food from a restaurant, ignoring her protests. When the food arrived, he watched her eat slowly at first, then with quiet desperation, tears dropping onto the plate. Each bite felt like an accusation he couldn't escape. That night, Arjun did not sleep. He sat in his study, replaying the scene again and again. He realized he didn't even know where Mira lived, how old she was, or what her life looked like beyond the hours she spent cleaning his house. In the morning, instead of rushing to work, he asked her to tell him her story. Mira spoke softly, as if her life was something fragile that might break if spoken too loudly. She had lost her parents early. Her brother was born with a heart condition. She worked 3 jobs once, but exhaustion made her collapse, and employers replaced her without a second thought. This job was the first place she felt somewhat safe, even if she was invisible. She never asked for help because she believed suffering quietly was the price of survival. Arjun listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. He realized that while he chased millions, someone in his own house was chasing a single full meal. He increased her salary that day, but the relief on her face was mixed with fear. She asked if she would still be allowed to work. That question broke him more than her hunger ever could. Days passed, and Arjun began noticing things he had never noticed before. The way Mira cleaned slowly when her back hurt, the way she smiled even when exhaustion pulled her shoulders down. He started leaving early from meetings, skipping dinners, choosing to come home. One evening, he saw Mira crying quietly on the balcony after a phone call. Her brother's condition had worsened, and surgery was needed, money they did not have. Arjun paid for the surgery without telling her at first. When he finally did, Mira fell to her knees sobbing, trying to touch his feet in gratitude. He stopped her gently, lifting her up, telling her she owed him nothing. In that moment, he understood how deeply poverty trains people to feel small. The surgery was successful, but life did not magically become easy. Mira still struggled with fear, with the habit of hiding food, with the belief that kindness never lasts. Arjun struggled too. His business partners mocked him when they found out he was too involved with household staff. They said generosity made people lazy. For the first time, Arjun chose not to care about their approval. Months later, Arjun did something unexpected. He helped Mira enroll in evening classes, something she had once dreamed of but thought impossible. She resisted at first, afraid she was not smart enough, afraid she would fail. Arjun reminded her that surviving as she had already proved her strength. Mira's confidence grew slowly, painfully, like a wounded bird learning to fly again. She made mistakes, cried over books, doubted herself constantly. Arjun never pushed, never judged. He simply stayed present, something no one had ever done for her before. 1 year later, on the same night Arjun had once found her hiding with leftovers, Mira cooked a simple meal in the kitchen, this time standing openly, confidently. She told Arjun she had passed her exams and received a job offer at a small office. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from disbelief. Arjun smiled, pride filling his eyes, not because he had helped her, but because she had helped herself. When Mira left his house for the last time as a maid, Arjun felt a strange ache. The house was quieter, but his heart was fuller. He realized wealth was not about what you owned, but about how many lives felt warmer because you existed. Years later, Arjun would fund programs for workers' children, but he always said Mira taught him the most important lesson: that hunger is not just for food, but for dignity, for being seen. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change 2 lives at once, the one who receives it and the one who finally learns how to give. If this story moved you, remember, someone around you may be silently starving for help, hope, or kindness. Like, subscribe, and share, because stories like this remind us that humanity is the greatest wealth of all.